So did Alabama get outcoached? Well, we got some thoughts about that. Welcome back to the Coaches Depot. Josh and Craig, two brothers talking sports. We appreciate you coming on and following us around here in our community here. Was talking football and all that kind of good stuff. So go ahead and hit subscribe while you're here. Hit the like button, all that fun stuff, guys. Help us keep growing. And we appreciate everybody's coming back to support us, all our returning subscribers and the new people here. If you're new, go ahead and hit subscribe. Join us. We talk all kinds of sports, not just Bama related stuff. So last night, Michigan beat Alabama 27-20 in the Rose Bowl, college football playoff, first semifinal. So you talk about Bama, you talk about Michigan, and here's some of the glaring points that I saw, and just one of the first two that stuck out real big to me in the first half, and it continued through the game. Michigan was tougher at the line of scrimmage, at the point of attack. They seemed to be fast, which they have been fast all year, and they were strong, and they were more prepared, I think, from a mental standpoint of how their coaches had them ready to play certain situations, certain things. What did you see kind of to start with as far as the stuff that, just kind of visual stuff?
Well, I mean, you start off the game with an interception that gets overturned, which was the correct call, by the way. It was the correct call.
Was
Um, but then like you said, I mean, we talked about this in our preview. This was a line of scrimmage game on both sides of the ball for both teams. Michigan whipped Bama's ass up front on both sides.
very true.
Alabama got a little run there, mid second quarter to the halftime, and a little bit of run there in the third quarter. The defense made some adjustments at halftime and showed up and played a lot better. But my God, man, if you can't block anybody, and you got your ass whooped on the line of scrimmage, period. And you said
Yeah.
something about not being prepared. I'm not going to go as far as to say that they was not prepared because I don't think Nick Saban would have allowed his team to not be prepared. I think they were, and we talked about this in the preview. I think they were overconfident. I think they thought they were Alabama and they were just going to go in there and whoop de doo, we're going to win. And they went in there and got their ass whipped. Period.
Yeah. So maybe not a prepared issue on Alabama's side. I think more Saban has said this throughout the years, an execution thing. But hold on, I can't give a tip of the cap if my hat turned the wrong way. But tip of the cap to old khakis and that whole Michigan staff, that program. Well done. Tough ball team. They won 6 games without khakis on the sidelines this year. That tells you a lot about that team right there. It's tough to win a game without your head coach, even as they're playing. I don't care who they're playing. But it's tough to win games without your coach sometimes. But big tip of the cap to khakis and the rest of that crew. And we'll see what they got next Monday against the Flying Huskies there, because that'll be something else we could talk about later. So moving over to the offensive side would look like pure, unadulterated hot garbage in the first half. I think maybe got to 80 or 90 yards in the first half. Now, you can break it down into sections. I thought the running backs were fine. No hassle with the running backs. The O line, Jalen and Tommy Reese were the issues for me, and it kind of funnels one to the other. I don't believe Tommy Reese put Jalen in the best positions to make some plays against that defense when he saw how aggressive Michigan was being. And then the O line, as a whole, we'll cover them in a minute. But let's just talk about that little funnel down from Tommy Reese to Jalen and how those two, they've been on the same page here recently, but last night it just seems like there wasn't something in the game plan or something. What do you think about that?
I think that Tommy Reese and the offense had 30 days to prepare for Michigan's defense. And I think that maybe instead of sticking with what had worked and what had been working over the course of the last, 6, 7 games of the year, I think instead of keeping that, game plan and things going, I think Tommy Reese tried to get too cute. I mean, when you have a fifth year player that can't snap the ball 4 or 5 yards on, I mean, it just gets aggravating. And then you have a quarterback, um, Lank, that can't read a defense. You can't run these exotic long forming routes. You just can't. That dude ain't Jaden Daniels. Um,
No.
I mean, you can't put him in a situation. I mean, when is the last time we saw a slant? When's the last time we saw an RPO? When's the last
Yeah.
time we saw, a 5 yard out? Well, we saw it at the end of the game, but shit, it was too late by that time. So I don't think Tommy Rees did the offense any favors by his play calling. Um, and, we knew this all year. Um, one read quarterback, when you go up against an outstanding defense, they're going to take your best thing away. And you see what happens when that happens.
Yeah. So
What I will say,
sideways
go ahead.
another sideways tip of the cap to that Michigan defense. And of course, there is a Ravens connection. You have Kaki's brother, the head coach, a couple years ago at the Ravens, of course. A couple years ago, Harbaugh did make a call to his brother asking for some defensive help. And there was two guys that was suggested to him. One went to Vanderbilt as a DC, the other one went to Michigan. The one that was at Michigan left and went back to Baltimore. The guy that was at Vandy went to Michigan. I think it's Mentor is his last name, or Winter or Mentor, something Enter. He called it a great game, and he runs the exact same scheme that the Baltimore Ravens do, with the twists and the stunts and the aggressiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So tip of the cap to those guys. They played their butt off. So I was really impressed with that defense. Now, and that defense correlated the problems that Alabama's offensive line was having. They could not block. I mean, there was 5-6 sacks in the first half. I want to say there was some bright moments here and there, but Alabama offensive line, you can put Seth to the side there because you talked about his snapping issues, but they were getting pushed around by smaller guys in some cases.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before the game when we heard that STD was running first team reps with left tackle, and I told you, I didn't know what was going on. We come to find out later that, Proctor had torn a ligament, and did he wasn't 100%. But I mean, if you got a guy out there that's not 100%, it's up to the coaches to put somebody else out there to block. Oh, Lord. I didn't think that Michigan's a little undersized up front, except for that one big guy that plays nose. I didn't think they were going to be able to get pressure and get to the quarterback like they did. And because Alabama's offensive
that's by design too, the way they are built, the way they're built. It's for that scheme of that defense by design.
Okay, but you've had 30 days to watch what they do. A month to watch what they do. And that's the best you come up with. I mean, if Jace don't break that 40-yard run and score, it's a scoreless first half for Alabama, minus maybe a field goal at the end.
Yeah, so the captain right there. Keep making the field goals, buddy.
Got to give it up to Michigan. Like you said, their defense and their defensive coordinator had a great plan. They executed the plan that they wanted to do, and it led them to win the game.
Yeah, and their offense was ran pretty well on the flip side of that. They had a good game plan against Bama. They confused Bama. They did something that Sark did to Bama early in the year. A lot of pre-snap motions, a lot of what they call changing the picture, and it wasn't communicated well on the defensive side of the ball, and it wound up for being wide open receiver, touchdowns, and things like that. So overall, Alabama defense, what'd you think?
I thought they played a great game up until about 7-8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I mean, those guys were running out there. Lank would have an offensive possession and it would last 1:20 seconds. The defense is back out there. Michigan gets a couple first downs, and then they get off the field, and then Lank goes back out, and it happens again, and they're right back out there. I mean, that defense was gassed. I thought that they played well, really, really well after halftime. We talked all year about the adjustments that Steele and Saban make at halftime, and they seem to work for the third quarter. I
Yeah.
also think that I saw towards the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, I saw Dallas Turner multiple times with his hands on his hips, bent over trying to catch his breath, and he wasn't even playing all three downs. You look at Bama's defense, and we've been praising them all year, you know, after the Texas game, and you're up 7 points with 4 to 5 minutes left to go in the game.
Couldn't
You
close
get a
it out.
fourth and two. You get a 4th and 2 with Michigan, right?
Yep.
They line up. Alabama's DBs are running all over the place like a Chinese fire drill. They didn't know what was going on. And I guess, if Nick Saban kept that timeout, I guess he got some kind of bonus at the end of the year for keeping timeouts. And he needed to call a timeout there and get his defense set, and it cost him.
Yeah. And, kind of sum it up. I mean, you think about 11-2, an SEC championship out of a team which probably, if you're thinking about it, probably should have maybe lost 2 or 3 games this year and not won the SEC. So it was a good year nonetheless.
12-2. 12-2.
12-2. So of course you didn't get the result you wanted, and I think people here in the state of Alabama have gotten spoiled just because the winning that's been going on here. For any other program, if that would have been anybody else on the field with Michigan last night, and they were trailing by 3 points going into halftime, you would have been just outside of your mind happy because you didn't expect that. But with Alabama, it's over the years, that's the Saban effect. So it's still a good year. We talk a lot about these players and these coaches. And yes, they do get paid a lot of money. And yes, they do have a lot of responsibility, but they're still kids. And they're going to make mistakes, especially on big stages. You're talking 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. You got to think how we were at that age. So, but still a good year. Closing thoughts on the game.
Well, the last thing I want to say is I'm as far as the offense goes, like you said, I thought the running backs were fine. It was great to see 22 get in there and get some play. I thought that the wide receivers, I kind of went back and watched the behind camera, the all 22. There was not many times that there was receivers that were open. They got no separation at all. And that had something to do with those long developing routes that were called. My last thought is going to be I've gotten a lot of calls, texts, whatever, electronic messages throughout the day. What the hell was that 4th down call? What are they doing? Saban's an idiot. Why fire Reese? Stuff like that. Well, let me tell y'all something. The play that was called and the design that they ran, he could have walked in on his hands. The problem was the play was designed to be a fake to the right, by Jalen, and then a quarterback counter to the left-hand side. The same play we saw against Georgia in the SEC title game, right? The only difference is the snap. The play is supposed to go left. The snap was low and outside to the right, and that caused everything to happen. And then, like we talked about earlier, that the bad snap combined with first round pick J.C. Latham getting pushed 5 yards back by a 218-pound guy when you weigh 340, son, let me tell you something. That happens in the NFL, your ass will be sitting back home. But I don't think the play call was bad because the play was there. It was just not executed, and it goes back to what you said at the beginning of the video, execution.
Yeah, that's the big thing is execution. Well, guys, we'll be back here very soon. Some more videos coming up. We'll do some more college football related content, especially with the national championship coming up. We'll get a good preview of that coming up, along with some other stuff moving in basketball, some more wrestling, a few wrestling people out there. So keep joining us. We appreciate you and have a good one.